How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a little combo video and basic understanding of the Purrely deck going into the next format, which is Duellist Nexus. We've got a core set that's due to drop early August, which gives this deck a little bit more support. So I'm going to run through a really basic combo to show you guys the power of the Purrely deck going into this format. We obviously have seen that it's been doing really well in the WCQ season, especially in North America, where a lot of the well-known good players are piloting this deck, and it got a couple of decent finishes. So yeah, as it's been getting more popular, I thought I'd show you guys the basic combo of the power of this new XYZ that we get, and the utility of the new trap that we get as well. I'll also do a deck profile afterwards, showing you guys a sort of basic list. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys are new, subscribe. I'm going to be dropping some Purrely content of me playing the deck at locals. And if you have any questions about the deck or any combos, drop them below, and either myself or anyone else in the community will come and answer your questions. But without further ado, I'm going to show you guys a really basic combo. So before we start, this combo is literally just Sleepy Memory plus one discard and another quick play. This combo could interchange depending on your hand, but I thought this would be a really good example to show you guys how you can literally go +3 off 3 cards. All you need is Sleepy Memory and another quick play to trigger the new XYZ's bonus effect, which we'll get onto in a minute. So, without further ado, really basic combo. Just note, again, this does interchange depending on the cards that you have in your hand. Obviously, you start with 5 cards and 6 go in second, so you can potentially expand this board a lot more. And yeah, I'll just get straight into it. So we start off playing Sleepy Memory. We're going to summon out the Purrely here. Using the Purrely's effects, we're going to grab Street. So the reason why we grab Street is we get an extra Sleepy Memory in the end phase on our XYZ material, so that gives us another draw. You could also grab the My Friend Purrely as well. That will just give us more leverage in our end board, potentially grabbing Pretty Memories and expanding, summoning another Purrely to potentially mill 3 or excavate 3 to add 1. So yeah, this board can really expand depending on the hand. But I show you guys a really skeleton combo that you can just take away and understand what the new leverage is for the deck and the ceiling for it going forward. But yeah, as in the Purrely Street, we're going to activate it to play around any Effect Veiler, any Ghost Mourner, Imperm on our XYZ. So using the effect of Purrely here, we're going to target Sleepy Memory Engrave. This is going to summon the new XYZ, which we'll read now. So 2 level 2 monsters, or you can summon it using Purrely's effects, of course. So once per turn, you can discard a card, target 1 card your opponent controls, or up to 2 instead if it has a Sleepy Memory as a material. Like that's so good going seconds. The only issue that I can see with this is that it targets, and targeting is probably the weakest form of removal because there's so many cards in the game that prevent targeting. Like in the mirror match, if your opponent establishes like a street, this card becomes significantly worse. Yeah, you can still hit back row and stuff, but yeah, targeting is probably the worst form of removal. However, don't underestimate the fact that like this does change the format, where people could potentially start playing cards like Dragoon or any sort of cards like Avramax, the BLS link, like boss monsters that can't be targeted, so it's really tough this deck to remove. But yeah, and the fact that this deck, if you encounter any of those monsters, it has a really good way to like Zeus your opponent's board, which Zeus is the best form of removal because it's a non-targeted, non-destruction, just board wipe, send. The word send in Yu-Gi-Oh is insane, but yeah. So that's the first effect. Also really good removal, of course. It's a really accessible with Sleepy Memory. And then the second effect is basically up to thrice per turn, so 3 times. When you activate a quick play, you can attach the card as material. Then you can set one Purrely trap. So it's optional to set the trap, but the trap could either be Leap or the new trap, which we'll get into a bit. I think in this combo we go through the standard Leap because that gives us an extra 2 draws. But we'll read the new trap in a second. So yeah, using Purrely, target Sleepy, ranking up into the new Purrely Noir. And then here we're going to activate Happy, obviously not using the effect to summon. We're just going to chain our Noir to attach it as material. Obviously that's Noir, Happy's now give us protection on our street, which can't be destroyed now. So from here, we just go straight to the end phase. Oh, sorry, we obviously set the trap first, of course. That's the main part of the combo. And then we're going to set it and then go to the end phase, use street to attach from deck another sleepy memory. So we've got, obviously, for the example used for the combo, I had 2 happy memory, which is probably the worst cards going first. Obviously, the best card going second, because you can just like do the happiness sort of combos and just get infinite cards on a Noir, or infinite card advantage in general. But yeah, use 2 of the worst quick plays going first, but it doesn't matter because we're still going to go +3. So in your opponent's standby phase, we're going to draw, use the effect to draw because it's too sleepy, and then we'll use Purrely again to rank up. Now we have a 5 material Noir, and we've just gone +3. So that's sort of the basics, like a really bare minimum combo to show you guys the power of the deck. Now we have this Noir XYZ, and to be fair, I didn't realize how good this card is, but if you think about it, any one of your Purrely level 1 normal effect monsters now essentially give you an XYZ that gives you a draw on your opponent's turn. So yeah, this deck can really get out of hand if you can't really stop these monsters like early on. And we've saw a lot of pro players, or like a lot of well-known players, utilize street as like a defensive card to protect all these monsters from Imperm, Veiler, all these targeting hand traps that are in the format that would stop this deck typically from popping off. So I think that's really cool, the development of this deck sort of going forward. I think it's really well positioned for the upcoming format, especially after a ban list as well. My only concern with this deck at the moment is people teching for it. So once you start teching for this deck, D-barriers, Kurikaras, thrusts, Herald of the Abyss, all these cards that start getting into the format again once this deck becomes popular, just like completely destroy this deck. But the most appealing thing is that if you can get to the stage where you can draw cards and they have to break your board, normally you'll have a my friend setup with the street, so that's infinite card advantage back, and then you have follow up, and you've just drew cards as well. So that's quite appealing. But D-barrier could be an issue. So I'm sure there's ways, like in past formats, when people played D-barrier, the deck sort of adapted. Like look at Sword Soul. When Sword Soul got D-barriered, they played like a lot of hand traps to hand trap your opponent back. So if they do D-barrier you potentially stopped your opponent as well. So which buys you a turn to hold your engine cards to make another push. So yeah, there's ways the deck can adapt, but I think it's really well positioned. It just could be a bit scary when D-barriers and Kurikaras, etc. come back into the format. So that's the combo. I've rambled on quite a bit here, but I'm going to show you guys sort of like a really standard deck list. Obviously, all these non-engine slots do change depending on the format. And of course, here in the side deck, I've got 1 Herald of the Abyss for the thrust, 1 Santa Claus. This could be 3 Santa Claus. I just wanted to sort of explain that Santa Claus could come back into the format if people start playing around happy. They stop leaving stuff in the tap position, or yeah, because like giving your opponent like a monster in defense that has 25 defense that you keep crashing your happy into to get infinite cards, it's really scary. I didn't mention as well that Droll could come back into the format so easily. So if that's the case, then obviously Purrely becomes a lot weaker, and maybe you have to start playing cards like Talents and Thrust again to sort of stop your opponent, like floodgate your opponent back. So yeah, it's a bit tricky, but I think the deck is really well positioned for the next couple of months, really. So pick up your Purrely decks if you haven't already. I think the prices dropped quite a bit after the last ban list when Delicious went to 1. So I'd expect this deck to be fairly well priced. Plus, I don't expect the new cards to be like a really high rarity as well. I expect them both to be commons, like the Trap and the new XYZ. I'd be shocked if they're not common. So we also got Purrely announced as an ultimate rare today from the new OTS pack, which is pretty cool. But yeah, sorry, I'm rambling on. This is the deck, so really standard, really similar to what they've been playing in America. I know the Australian team or testing group that done well and Oceanics were playing the 2 Prosperity. I really like this. I think this is a really good idea. And then obviously, of course, the non-engine sort of interchanges depending on the format. I also really like Fenrir in this deck for 2 reasons. Obviously, Fenrir is a really good card in general. Acts floodgates, like skill drain. You can book a moon it on your Fenrir, so it gives you more leverage into breaking boards. It's a disruption going first, and more importantly, it gives you an extra card. It's a +1, so that's a card that you can potentially discard off your quick plays to get going into engine. So yeah, really good cards, really rate this. And then yeah, that's pretty much it really. There's a debate at the moment to play this card, which we haven't read, which we'll read now. So basically, Purrely Share or Purrely Shirley. Target 1 Purrely XYZ monster you control. Special summon 1 level 1 Purrely monster from your deck, but negate its effects, which is fine. And then if you do special summon an XYZ Purrely monster with the same rank as the targeted monster, but a different attribute. So you could target Purrely Noir and special summon a Beauty. But the issue that I'm seeing at the moment is that you have to have the... let me read the rest of the effect and it'll make sense. So you then attach to the XYZ you just summoned off this trap 1 quick play from deck that has the same material as the targeted monster. So if I have a Noir that has 2 Sleepy and a Pretty, I can then special summon an XYZ being Beauty and then give it a Pretty, so it has the quick play effect. My issue is if you targeted the monster and it doesn't have any other good really materials, you could just basically summon like a blank body, and it's really situational to get like Noir with a Pretty for you to give like an extra disruption on your opponent's turn. It's not that difficult to set up, but it's like I just feel like this trap's a lot better, especially in the grind game as well, like reshuffling back your monsters. So I think in this situation you probably just play 2 Leap. But I definitely want to test this card. I think it could be really, really good. Just tag out for another sort of XYZ. Plus, it's good to have more bodies, because if you have like streets set up with my friend, it makes it a little bit more tricky for your opponents to navigate through your board, because they have to eventually give you back that follow-up of my friend if you have more XYZs. So yeah, that's sort of the thought process at the moment. Azalea is a really good card in this deck as well. So yeah, I expect big things from this deck. I'm going to be playing it at locals and probably recording some footage. So if you guys want to see that, subscribe and check out my socials below. Check out my team socials. We're just on like off season at the moment, but we're still like theorying and practicing for the next sort of formats to come. And of course we've got Worlds coming up as well, so I might do some Worlds content, sort of deck profiles for Worlds. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you in the next one.